Yeah, the last topic we were talking is this one. So this session is all about this iframe automation, which is one of the core topic in Python. Sorry, in Selenium. Where is it? Yeah, this one. I believe this one is right. Yeah, not this one. This is not that. Yes, this one. We had discussed clearly about the introduction of iframe in the last session. So the purpose of iframe and also we had discussed the different ways of handling iframes. If you see, so this is the scenario. There are 4 different ways we can deal with iframes. You can see here, friends. So one is switching to a frame using this index. Second one, switching to a frame using this iframe. I mean this name of the iframe. Third one through some web element, that too applying some locating strategy. And fourth one by default, again switching back to parent, this one. So all these are 4 different methods that were there in the API of our Selenium. So this is the idea. This were probably there from, we can get it from the actions class itself. So this is discussed in the last session, but we need to do some use cases. We need to implement few use cases to understand this in more detail, this thing. Okay, so that is the idea, right? And before that, again, a quick question, like am I audible and can you see my screen? Can you please confirm in the chat box? I didn't receive any message. Sorry if you had
Yes,
provided.
ma'am. We are audible and it's good, all good.
Okay, thank you, Sanita. So okay, then no problem. So as we had a discussion in the last session, right? So let me just open a website. We are using this website itself, non-tech related one, just to get some idea about iframes. You can choose any website. It's not like this should be the website you have to follow, but already we have some scenarios which helps us to cover this iframe here. So we choose this website for this particular automation. And we also had a clear idea. In the last session, we had a clear understanding. Let me quickly recap because we had 1 or 2 days gap in the middle. So the idea is simple. When we are doing this iframe automation, the first thing is how do you recognize these iframes? Means we know we had a quick we had a detailed discussion on Monday, I believe, right? So how do you do that? So we have to recognize this iframe using this, what shall we say? Let me just open this one. Using this tag iframe. If you search with this tag iframe, then automatically all the web elements related to iframe will be recognized. So all that matchings will be shown to us. So in that way, we can find all iframe web elements that were there in a web page. So this is the first step of identifying these iframes in a web page or website, right? Then when you identify these iframes, so there are different ways we try to automate them either by using index, because suppose when you try to locate iframes in a web page, so those iframes, suppose if you assume that you have some five iframes, so these 5 iframes have indexing starting from 0 to 4. That is one scenario. So one is they do have indexing. So like for example, in this website, there are 5 iframes here. For each of this video thing, we have one iframe here. So in that way, we have 5 iframes, and we can identify them either through indexing. So something like it starts with 0, ends with 4 here, right? That is one thing. Or either you can identify these iframes with name or ID. So that's what we had discussed in the last session. I'm just giving you a quick recap. So another one is one is we are seeing identifying different ways of identifying this iframe. One is through indexing, that is something. Second one through ID or name or some other any other attribute that helps us to identify iframe. So that is one more, right? And then also the third thing is using this XPath or locating strategies. That is the third way. So these are different ways where we try to identify these iframes. So this is discussed in the last session. So what we do is we'll check on few iframe automations. Today we'll see couple of iframe automations and try to get a clear idea how this iframe is useful to us. Okay, let's do that now. So I'm just trying to start with this here. So this is a simple scenario of iframe. You can see here. So this gives us this gives us a clear idea about automating iframes here. Right, you can see here. So these steps we are seeing from the beginning. All of us know how to automate all these iframes. So sorry, automate any web element in Selenium. This I think we can ignore this Chrome steps, all that. Till this we are familiar. And then this you can see here now. This we had I believe we had discussed, but if not, I'll just give a quick this thing about this. Now you know, right? So what is this tag doing? Simply speaking, if you see, it find all the this particular statement in this code. The purpose of that line of code in this program is it is used to find all iframe tags on a web page. Now you know we already discussed this number of times. So these days, last week or so, we had a clear idea about find elements method. If you want to locate all related web elements in a web page, same type of web elements in a web page, then this find elements is one of the best method to apply. Right. So this is the idea, friends. So now in this web page, if you see here, right click on this, or if you can directly right click here somewhere in the web page, and you know, right, and here go to the inspect. So click on inspect. Now you can see here in this inspect, if you search for iframe, also say double slash so that it gives us all tags starting with iframe here. So we know how to search for some web element or some or some for tag in this web page. So this is we are discussing this since almost from last 1.5 month or so. So this is a simple XPath tag to locate this iframe. So this helps us to locate all different matching iframes. Right. So this is the idea. Now, how many iframes are here? We have 5 iframes. So what is that we need to do now? We need to locate them. So how do we locate them? Either by index of these iframes or through some ID or name of iframe. So before that, suppose there are 5 iframes. Now we want to find all this. We want to locate all these 5 iframes. To locate all these 5 iframes, whichever is matching here. If you see here, it's showing matching elements. Here is 5 here. So then in the code, we apply this method. What is the driver dot find elements and by tag name here because tag name is that iframe. So that's why we choose this locating strategy by tag name. So what this will do, this will return all that iframes which is matching with this tag, which is nothing but iframe here, this iframe, and it returns a list of what it does here from the code. What it does, it returns a list of iframe tags. Now what we have to do, even iframe is also a web element. So in fact, that find elements, when we apply this find elements method here in the code, when we apply this will try to locate this tag iframe and returns find all those tags or all those web elements, iframe web elements, and return them in the form of a list of web elements. So that's why at the left side we are declaring a list collection with the web element as the parameter for generic declaration. And this reference whatever elements is there, this will be uh, storing this address of this object. So this whatever this find elements method is returning, that list object is assigned to this reference of this list collection. So that's I hope you should be clear with that. Now, if you want to observe like what web, how many web elements are present there, if you want to know that, just simply apply size here. If you apply size, then you can you can easily understand that how many web elements are written by this method find elements, and this list collection is holding or it is storing. Right. So that is the idea. Maybe if you want, you can iterate and see each web element. I mean the value of each web element. If you are interested, you can do that as well. So it's up to us. I hope this is clear, friends. Understood now? This is the idea. So what this particular code block is doing is simple. Already we had discussed, we are familiar. So this is just when we apply find elements, this method will try to locate all the iframes that were there in the web page and returns that in the form of a list object, which is assigned to the reference of this list here, list collection. And then on top of it, if you apply size, it returns size of that list collection. So that means how many iframe elements are there in this list, that we come to know that by applying size method. If size gives us 5, it means we have 5 iframes present in that list. If it gives 10, we have 10 iframes present in that list. So that is the idea. Now we are printing here. If you see here, just a simple print statement, just to understand. Based on size, we can identify that how many iframe tags are there. That is just we are printing that variable to which we assign the size here. If you see here, this is the variable which holds the size of these iframes or this collection, list collection, right? And you know about this. This is something a waiting strategy. So this strategy helps us to wait until that particular frame is loaded into that web page. So you can see here expected condition element to be clickable by XPath iframe. Until that clickable element is loaded, it will be this waiting strategy is applied. I hope this is clear. Even though we mentioned duration of 20 minutes, 20 seconds, sorry, 20 seconds. So what is this waiting strategy will do? It will just try to wait until that particular web element is loaded into that web page. So that is the purpose of this web waiting strategy. We know very well. Now this is the actual code where this, what is it, friends? The code that helps us to implement this iframe automation. In this particular program, in this particular automation, okay, sorry, anybody typed in, it's okay. In this particular automation, if you see here, friends, we are trying to do this iframe using, you can see here, this numbering. If you see numbering in this frame method, means we are iframe is a subcontainer through index, you can see here. So we are doing a simple automation. We can do different things. You can click on the iframe, or you can try to get that page source, or you can do whatever you want. But this is a simple scenario. What we are trying to do is the problem statement is this is the problem statement. Let me quickly give you the problem statement, because that make you understand clearly what we are doing in the automation. It is simple. We are trying to switch to, so this is the problem statement. We are trying to switch to iframe. That is one thing. And we are trying to get page source of that, and we are getting page source of that iframe. page source. So once you recognize that iframe, or once we switch to that iframe, we are getting the page source of that iframe. Page source is that HTML, all that this thing. We can see in the code when we run the automation. You can observe that we don't have any problem with that. So this is the idea, friends. So what is the idea? This is the problem statement. What is the problem? We are trying to switch to iframe and we are getting the page source of that iframe. How? Using index. This should be very clear for you now. This should make more clear for you. This should give clarity. Why this gives us clarity? Because that is the problem statement we are implementing in this current automation. I hope this is clear. So till line 34, nothing new for us. And this is something we started uh, discussing since last week. We did this number of times, how to use find elements and locate all related web elements and return that list object that we have seen number of times so far. And rest of the thing you know very well. Next thing, waiting strategy. We know three different types of waiting strategy. So far we are applying two types of waiting strategy every time we are implementing this automation. That is fine. Next, coming back to this our frame automation. So we can use different types of methods that are there in this driver class. You can see here. So these switch methods are part of driver class. Maybe sometime back I told actions. Please ignore that my statement about actions. So here, so what do we do now? From the driver class, we apply this switch methods to move from, you know, right? Already we had discussed in the last class about we had some intro for this. So we have two containers. So the parent container and the child containers. This web page itself is a parent container, and these are all child containers or sub containers. So all iframes are sub containers, and we know the purpose of these iframes. Usually, these are special uh, containers which are used for some special purpose, like presenting some ads or presenting some special information. To do all that, this sub containers, which is what we call iframes, are used. But these are inside another container called this web page. So all that in that way, always these are sub containers. Now we have to switch from your parent container to this sub container, and to do this switch from one frame to another frame, or from one container to another container, parent container to sub container and sub container to parent container, we have to apply these switch methods. I hope this should be very clear for you now. So that is the purpose of switch. And how do we apply switch? From the driver, this one driver class. Right, in that driver we have this switch to and then frame, and you can see here 0. Means what is the meaning of this? We are switching to the frame 0 using the index, right? So that is the idea. Now once we switch to that frame using the index 0, means we are trying to switch to this frame. This is the frame we are switching, 0th index, right? So, and then once we switch to that subframe, I mean the sub container, this one, we are trying to get that page source in the code. See, this is the page source. And then other things we know very well. So what is that other things? You can skip this. This is not needed because we are this should be there by. And then again we are applying some sleep, that you know, right? We are trying to wait for 5 seconds and later on again. What is this again? We are switching back to the parent container, which is nothing but your web page. From that which one? From the sub container frame 0. Again, we are switching back to the parent content. Default content means by default, it will again switch back to main web page. You can see here the comment is clearly saying that may switch back to the main web page. And here, if you look at this, on top of this one, you can see here, switch to the frame using index. So that itself is a clear idea what we are doing in the code, what each line of code is doing in this automation. That should be clear for all of us. And finally, after that, what we are doing, these steps I don't need to explain because by now, you know, you are very much familiar with these things. I hope this is clear, friends. So this is the idea, friends. Right. So what do we do now? Shall we test this automation now? Let's go and test this automation and see what this is going to do. It is a simple thing. We don't have any big confusion in this. We are just step one. We are moving to this website. Step two, reading all the iframes and then getting those iframes in the form of list object and assigning to the reference of this list collection. That is step two. Step three, getting the size of that list to see how many iframes are there in that web page. And step four. Step four is we are trying to do a simple switch from main web page to the sub container frame 0. And then step five, we are trying to get the page source of that iframe just to know, see that if we are uh, properly switching from web page to this frame, just to observe that. So we are trying to get the page source. Step 7. What is step 7 here? Again, once that whatever the switching is done, our purpose is completed. Then we switch back to the main web page by applying this again default content. So these are all different steps we are following here. So finally, what we do now, let's run this automation and see what's happening here. So run it and just see the automation. So we are able to bring up the, so this time this website is not opening, no problem. Sometimes it happens. That's why you can see here we are not able to connect to the web page, our website. You can see number of iframes on this web pages are 0. This is working quite fine. Our automation is quite fine. It looks good. Again, run it, no problem. It will work because I ran it so many times. Sometimes because of this network and all these issues, you can see this time it got loaded. Now we are in this one. This we can close here. And then at this, now we are not seeing anything like, but nothing to worry here because it would be obviously there. Now you can see here now. So number of frames on this web page are 5 here. You can see it's able to find out, locate that, and switching to the frame and frame source. I think somewhere it again missed getting this frame source for some reason. This is not exact frame source. It won't be looking like this. Let me try to run it and again get the frame source. Okay. So right click and then run as run application. Okay, we'll stay here in this time. Let's not move to the website. Let's wait here and see what steps are following here. So it is able to locate this frame. So that this time we got 5 here. And then what's happening? This is then it has to switch to the main web page to this frame which is having 0th index. So it has to go there. See, somewhere sometimes this is actually, you can see here. This is all because of this network problem, friends. So because this website is trying to load for a long time, so that's why this issue you can see here. This is also useful for us to observe this issue. Okay, we got timeout exception, and here you can see here we have applied waiting strategy. If you remember how this waiting strategy works, this gives you a little more deeper understanding about waiting strategy. You can see here waiting for element to be clickable. So that's what the waiting strategy we have applied in the automation, right, friends? And now if you see here in that, for that waiting strategy, what this is doing here, Selenium, it is trying to locate that iframe tag here. But how many times it is trying to wait? Tried for 20 seconds, it's saying, with 500 millisecond interval. Each, so before it refresh that look for that or refresh the web page. So this is the refresh interval. This Selenium automation applies. This is if somebody asks you in interview, just remember these things, friends. So this is something which we implement in the code. So the interval period for which this automation checks if that particular web element is loaded, that elements to be clickable is loaded into the web page or not. That is checked for every 500 milliseconds. 500 milliseconds is a very short span of time, that you know very well, friends. Right? 1000 milliseconds means 1 second. 500 milliseconds means half second. For every half second, it will try to check for that clickable web element if it is loaded into the web page or not. But unfortunately, this time that loading didn't happen as expected. So that's why it is throwing this timeout exception. So what do we do? Why this timeout issues? The one issue is the website is not able to load in the expected time window. So that loading website got delayed for some reason. Definitely in my case today, it should be some network issue because I connected to hotspot. If it is well and fine, it will quickly load. But sometimes you know how a hotspot is. It will be very slow. That's why. Again, no problem. You can try it from your side. This will definitely work because I tested it number of times even yesterday. So run it again. I hope you got idea about that waiting strategy, right? So that is one famous interview question people might ask. What is the check interval time for each for when we apply this wait strategy, right? So you can answer that in interviews. 500 milliseconds, which is half second. For every half second, it will keep checking for that uh, web element to be loaded. Now this time it worked fine. You can see here, friends, right? This is perfect. Now this is the web page. I mean this page source which got loaded properly, and then that source code is printed for this frame 0. You can see here, friends. So this automation worked well and fine. So point is simple. In the console, you should be able to see how many iframes are loaded. So that is one thing. How many iframes got recognized. So that is one thing. Second thing, uh, second thing is whether it is switching to the this iframe. If it is switching to the frame 0, then what is the proof that it is switching to this frame means we are trying to get page source. And if that page source is displayed, then everything is going fine. Automation is going as expected. And if any issues, if you see any hiccups in this process, then somewhere something is wrong. So based on that, we have to conclude, we have to fix our automation, this frame automation. But in this process, you come to know about a couple of new things as well. Excuse me, friends. What is that? So about this timeout exception. So that is one thing. So these are all important things because people sometimes we have questions on this as well. So the question here is when you see this timed out exception, when do we have this timed out exception? You have applied a waiting strategy. So, right, I'm just quickly recapping that scenario, waiting strategy, so that next time if you get any such error, you can understand that why that is there and what is the time interval it takes to check for that web element on which we applied this waiting strategy. All this will be very clear for you. So this waiting strategy, so whatever that is there we have applied when that time period is when we try to verify that time period, and if it is elapsed, then it try to throw this exception, timed out exception, right? So and during this waiting strategy, one important question you might face in interviews is what is the interval for which this automation checks for this web element. So usually the interval time is 500 milliseconds. For every 500 milliseconds, your automation will check for that web element if it is loaded in the web page or not. Or in fact, simply speaking, half second to be more clear. For every half second, it will try to check for that web element, clickable web element loaded or not, or on whichever the waiting strategy you applied, on whichever the web element. So that waiting strategy will check for every 500 milliseconds if it is loaded into the web page or not. So this is one important thing you need to observe, friends. So just make a note, make a note of this. I mean, remember this. That is what I am trying to say, friends. So this is the idea. Okay, let's jump to the next one. After that, all these things should be very clear for you now. So in this program, what we did is applied. Uh, what is this? We are trying to. We tried switching to. I'm trying to explain this, step by step, because sometimes this might sometimes confuse us. So I don't want you to have any confusion, friends. So I'm trying to be very clear on these things. So what did we do here? Simple. We didn't do something really this challenging thing here. This is a simple one. We tried to switch to this sub container. Switch to sub container, which is iframe. So I'm just making it clear. IFrame. So here, what is the strategy we are following here? What is the method we are following to switch to this iframe? Definitely, we are using this switch to dot frame. Here we are using index. We tried switching to the sub container. Sorry, to the sub container using what, friends? Index of the container of the frame. Otherwise, and this is the method. So can you please confirm in the chart if this is clear for you, friends? Please confirm our chart, like, you got a clear idea about it, or if you have any confusion on this. Not sure if I receive your, yeah, I think I'm seeing your chart. Can you please confirm our chart? If you are good with this. So this is the idea about this iframe thing, friends. Now we have covered a couple of methods here in the iframe one. We covered these two methods: switch to frame using an index, that is first thing, and switch to default content. We covered these two methods. Let us try to have a quick idea about remaining two methods here. So switching to a frame using ID or name, and switching to a frame using this web element. Shall we do that? So before that, you are good, right, friends? I think I am not able to receive your chart. That's fine. Maybe due to some network issue. Let's jump to the another automation, which helps us to implement the other two methods of this iframe. What is this? Implementing iframe using ID or name. That is one strategy. You can see here. So switch to frame of, you can see here some frame name here, which means here if you say the parameter as frame name, either we can pass that ID of that frame or name of that frame or any other attribute that helps us to locate that this one. That is the idea, friends. And second one, passing web element. This we tried number of times. Trying to locate that iframe through some locating strategy, by tag strategy, by ID strategy, by name strategy, by XPath strategy, which is more popular, right? So so we can follow that as well. So let us try to implement these two methods and see a small automation for this. So this is the automation which helps us to demonstrate these two methods, right? That were there in the driver class or driver interface. Otherwise, if not class, anything is fine. So now let us see. So all things are fine. So rest of the code is fine. We don't have something new here. What is it? Till this driver manager dot timeout implicits, right? This is a waiting strategy which is applied for all web elements in the web page. And this will get method will try to get the that website. And now just now we had discussed what is the purpose of this find elements method. So finding all iframe tags on web page. This helps us to find all iframes. Similarly, if you want to find any other web element, you can apply this. So that is fine. Once we get that list object, we are trying to get size. This is discussed already, so I am skipping it for now. And this waiting strategy, you should be fine now. So you know why we are applying this waiting strategy. so that it helps us to wait for a few seconds until that particular web element is loaded into the web page, so that we don't have this sync problem. Sometimes the website might take time to load, or sometimes some other issue might be there for loading this website. So to overcome those issues, we apply these kind of waiting strategies. We are already familiar with all that. We had discussed it number of times. Now this is the what this few lines of code is what we are discussing now. What is that? So applying this iframe strategy with what same thing, that switch is same, but with we are trying to this time switch to a frame by using ID or name here. But in this automation, we are using ID. Now you can see this is the we are switching to a frame with ID for widget 4. We'll see that right. That is fine. So again, we are this is covering one more method that is present in this methods of provided by Selenium for handling iframes. Already we are familiar with this first one, last one, and talking about the third one. What is this? Simply, this is simple. What is it? We just switch to any frame by applying some ID or name. So then again, the question is how you are getting this Manoram. So you don't need to do anything. Go to the website, and now you can see here. Suppose this is the what? This is your iframe. This particular this one. So what do you do? Simply, if you want to know what is the ID or some name or some other attribute that locates this web element, simply right click on this. So don't do that. You don't need to play it. Right click and then say on this one again, refresh. If not that, you can check for any other this one here, frame here. So right click. You can see now. If one thing if you want to locate iframe, one way is applying that iframe tag and searching for that iframes. And also there is another way. If any iframe is there, when we try to inspect it, you can see you will get see here. You can see here you will get something called view frame source. View frame source. You can see here. That also helps you to locate that frame. So anyhow, we don't want like this. We want it to be in the form of like the other way. So what do we do? Otherwise, we'll search like this. That gives you a quick idea. Let's not waste much of our time. So inspect it. But one thing is, if it is iframe, there will be view frame source. From that view frame source, you can try to locate any of these attributes that is also there. So now what shall I do if I should locate iframes? The easiest way for me is just apply this tag here. Just check for the tag, and in that you can see here. You can see this is when we click on this tag, it is highlighting the first one at the left side of the window. See there, friends, right? So and the ID for this is you can see here. ID is widget 2. You just copy that ID. So now what you can do, either copy or just type it in the automation. Now we are trying to locate this particular what shall we say, friends, frame through ID. So this time we are applying a method switch to dot frame where it takes parameter as ID, not the index. So what do we do right now? This is widget 2. Suppose if you say next, so you can see here. So this is widget 4. You can see here. Suppose you say next. This is having ID as you can see here, friends. ID as widget 6. Right? Similarly, widget 10, widget 12 should be there. So the change is like it's not widget 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but it's a 2, 4, 6, 8, something like that. So, but we're not fine for us. We just need the ID of some of this frame. Or if you want to automate all of these frames, then you have to just pick up all the IDs. That's all, friends. So for now, what I do, I can take this or the previous one or anyone in this page. So now go to the code. Already we have widget 4, or you can pass widget 2. This time we are applying switching strategy by using what? By using frame ID. So you can see here. Now, once we try to locate this, switch to this subcontainer frame, which is widget 2, we are trying to see if we are rightly switching to that frame or not. If we are properly switching, if the switch is happening properly or not. And for that, to prove that, we are getting the page source of that, so that that gives us a clear idea. The switch is happening properly. That's what we are doing here, friends. Right? So what do we do right now? And this all these two, this method is now you are fine with this. But again, this helps us to switch back to the main web page, which is default content. So now we are getting another one more. We are covering one more method of this iframe. So what is that? Switch to frame using ID. This is one more approach or one more way of locating or switching to the frame. Let's run the automation now. Let's try to run this automation, right? So you can stay here and see, like, what's happening here. So this code gives us a clear idea. Now you can see this automation able to locate all the frames because we got iframes on this web page or 5. And if you look into this even here, while trying to check for web elements, you can see the matches here. We have 5 altogether. That itself is a clear proof that the automation is going in a right way. Again, timeout occurred. We have a timeout issue. You know very well. I have clearly explained why we are seeing this, because there is a sync problem, loading time issue of our website. So, and in this case, I have clearly I told you, like, friends, why this problem is occurring in my machine. Right here, as I don't have a proper network, I'm running into timeout issue. But I believe the same thing don't happen for everyone. But no problem. We can run again. So this is something not a serious issue, because one reason here for me is a network problem. So due to that, we are running into timeout issue. But anyhow, we reran the automation, let it run. It's going fine. Right. One thing is here I put a pop-up blocker. You should also close that. That is fine. Then you can see here, it's able to locate all the iframes. That is fine. And switching to the frame and waiting, applying some waiting strategy. And now you can see this is perfect. This waiting strategy is successfully applied, and then we are able to see the page source. So this is the page source of that particular frame. You can see here frame widget 2. That is nothing but the first frame. So this itself is a clear idea. So we have seen different ways of switching to this frame in today's automation. What is it? We have observed how to switch to a sub container using index. We have observed how to switch to a frame using ID. And at the same time, we got an idea about default content as well. So this is all idea about this iframe automation, friends. And one more strategy here is this one. What is it? Switching to the frame with web element. Let us see one more beautiful example on this automation. So I believe by now you are familiar with this different ways of implementing this iframe automation, right, friends? Right. So please confirm that in the chat box so that it gives me some clear idea, friends. Hope you are clear with all this. Now, this is another automation you can see here. This automation talks about what this is also a simple automation, but this time we are doing an automation on Twitter. You can see here we are automating we are applying automation on the Twitter here, friends. You can see that X. So this is all same. See, all this is same. This getting applying get method or driver or this waiting strategies. These are all familiar for us. We are discussing it from almost from week and a half. This should be quite familiar for you, friends. And then the only thing in this code we are applying is this one. What is it? The switch strategy. That too by passing a web element here. You can same thing. Just we are applying driver.findL. This is not something new for you, right? But here we are just using the locating strategy as XPath instead of ID or instead of that index. Simply you can see here in the same frame. See, if you see, this is not something new for you, new for us. So we are doing this from the beginning of our this thing. You can see here now. What is that we are doing here? So this is the the strategy. The strategy we are following to locate iframe. This we are familiar. So we are just applying driver.find element. This is the web element. This returns a web element with that particular iframe thing. Okay, by XPath iframe, right? So this one. But what is this actual thing doing? Maybe you might be thinking there are five iframes. If you just say apply just XPath of iframe, how this is going to identify all those five iframes? For a matter of fact here, friends, we are not in that Norm Tech website. We are not still in this. Now we have moved to the another website. What is it? Twitter. Now, when you go to the Twitter, let us get a clear idea about problem statement. So understanding problem statement is very important. So the third strategy is covering about what is it, friends? Switching, applying a switch method to a frame using what, friends? Web element or using a locating strategy. So what is the problem statement here? This time we are switching to. So one thing is we go to Twitter. When you go to Twitter, there is an iframe in the Twitter. Let me just show you because understanding problem is important. So let's get to the Twitter. Already we are done with that. So we can simply do this, but just want to show you. See, in this Twitter, if you see here in this Twitter, this one is an iframe. If you see here, this maybe if you don't know, suppose again, a quick question is if you don't know about this, if iframes exist or not. So this is the first thing. Assume that we are just a layman. We don't know if any iframe is there or not. Then how do you try to check for that iframes? Right click on this web page and say inspect. Then even now from these web elements, you are not able to see the iframes. No problem. Then what do you do? Just simply apply a search here. What is that search? / iframe. So this tag helps us to locate iframe. See here how many iframes are there in this whole web page. We have just one iframe here. You can see here. Excuse me, friends. That too, this sign up with Google. That is the one we have. That is the one iframe we have. Right, friends. So what is the idea here? What is the approach here when we come to this Twitter? So first thing we have to come to Twitter and we should be able to locate this particular Google this thing. Here, if you try to just apply something like button, it won't work, friends. Here, this particular button is inside iframe in a sub container. Now you have to apply automation for this iframe, not for that button. If you apply for button, it run into exception. Keep in mind, friends. As usual, if you try to do the automation by taking some button or something else, it won't work. You have to apply for this for the frame itself so that it will try to go to that automation will come to this Twitter page and then click on this sign up this thing. Else it won't work. It will turn into exception. Just keep in mind, friends. In fact, if you try different ways and if it is not working, the idea is simple because this is not a simple web element like button or something. This is a web element of iframe. So that difference we should be clear with that difference. Now, fine, that is fine. I hope you are clear now. So we have hardly one frame here, that is our button. Now what is that? We have to come here and click on this sign up, this one. That is what the automation we are doing here. We have to identify this frame and then click on this. That is the strategy we are applying. So go to this code and see here what we are doing. This code is something really not new for us. This switch to dot frame is something okay. Just now we have observed how to locate that frame, that one frame that is there in the Twitter page. So we are applying that strategy, locating strategy here by applying this XPath strategy and passing that frame pattern here. That is fine. After that, once we locate it, once we locate that, what we are doing here, you can see here. So we are applying a click thing here. You can see here again, we are trying to find that this one in that frame, right? We are able to locate this. And then what do we want to do? We want to click on this. If you want to do some click on this after finding frame, so you need something. Say you can identify this with text or with something. Here in the code, if you see here, we are applying a span here. In that again, maybe you can check here something like a span. Sorry, right? And somewhere you can see here when you click on it, one more. Now you are somewhere here. Let us just click on it. It is sign up. We don't want sign up, but what we need is this one. Sign up with Google. That is a text we need. We have to find out where it is. Sign up with the Google. You can try to, if you don't have any idea, just try to search for that. Otherwise, remove this one here, this start one, because it takes it as a tag now. So somewhere it is trying to find this whole method, but we just need a text here. That's all. With which one it is sign up with somewhere. You can see here this one. So this is the one we are trying. We are trying to get to do click on that. We try able to locate iframe. In that iframe again, we have to get into that iframe now, and then click on this particular text or this button. For that, we have a span tag. That's why we choose span here. And then we are applying a text strategy. You can see this is when you try to click on this, you can see it is trying to select that that particular button. You can see here, friends, right? So this we have to locate now. So to locate this, this is the tag we are applying here, friends. Okay, I think I received your response now, friends. So slight network, I mean latency is there. No problem. Here you can see here, friends. Now finally, I hope you got clarity, right? I try to give you a clear idea, like why we are applying this tag here. So this should be very quite clear for you, because you can see now find element method. This is locating strategy with find element we are doing, and then in that again we are trying to apply strategy by XPath, and then this is the pattern. The pattern is we are you can see in the web element here this element tag. It is associated with span. The tag starts with span. So that is what the strategy we are choosing here. Simply let me just show you slash span. You have observed the tag, right? Span. And then in that span, you have a text like Google with, sign up with Google. Then what you have to do? You remember in the very beginning, we have applied this strategy, the text strategy. If you want to locate some this thing, if you want to create a pattern, identifying with some text, then we use this method text equal to something. Maybe you can just copy this and just paste there. You get a clear idea how it will automate this pattern locates that particular tag. Okay, close this button and you can see now this pattern is trying to locate this particular button or this text. We need to click on it. So you can see we tried to create that pattern in the code, right? And then applying a click on it. So what happens now? The strategy is simple. The flow is this time. So we go to click, we go to Twitter. So this automation takes us to the Twitter, and then click on that. Sorry, click on that sign up with Google button. Here, what is the thing here? This is fine. This automation, all this is not new for us. But the important thing here is we are doing this automation on a frame here. That is the point, friends. We need to keep that in mind while doing this automation, because other things switching from one page to another page or all this is done almost many days back. That is not new for us. But in this particular scenario, we are dealing with a frame here. That is something new for us. So Just keep that in mind, friends. So now what we do, let's, so this is the idea. So what is the problem statement? Go to Twitter and click on that sign up with Google button. And this is what it has to do. This automation should do. In the process, the sign up with Google button is a frame. So that sign up with Google is a frame, and you know how to handle frame thing, right? The strategy we are applying here is a switch to frame using web element that we did now. You can see here. This is the one we are applied. We have applied now, and then what do we do right now? Finally, on the same iframe, we get into that iframe. You can see. You see, one thing is we try to find the iframe, and in that iframe again we are in that sub this thing container. In that sub container, we are just jumping to the text and then applying on click. If you do this directly without this method, if you just comment it run, I doubt this will work. You run into an error. You get into an exception. This will work only when you try to switch to that frame, and then when you apply that click strategy, then only it will work. Else it won't work, friends. If you directly apply this, maybe if you ask me, Manoram, why don't you directly apply this strategy instead of switching to the frame? If you do that, you don't be inside that frame, and then this click might not work. Then it run into an exception code, some kind of exception there. Right? Maybe you can do one thing. You can do a simple testing on this. One is without commenting this driver dot switch to, and the second use case is comment that and try to test. It is also a kind of testing which we need. So then you understand, like, the behavior with by switching to a frame. That is one use case. Second behavior, if you don't try to switch to a frame and try to directly apply this locating strategy and apply click on that, we see the difference how this testing is, what is the test results we are acquiring here. Just see that also enhances our consciousness on this testing, friends. Okay, so this is the idea. Let's try to run this first. Let's apply this and run. Now I hope you are clear with all these steps, right? So here the new steps introduced as of now is this line 48 and line 50. That's all, friends, and that too we had a very detailed discussion on that. Let me run the automation. Run this automation and click on OK. So sometimes, yes, we are in Twitter now. The automation have moved to the Twitter, and then you can see there it has to click yes, perfect. See, it clicked on that sign up page, sign up with Google, so that a new window appeared for us. If you are seeing new window, the automation ran successfully without any problem. So this is the idea, friends. Again, if you ask me, I should enter something, means again here locate this text box, right click again. What is that? Right click and then say inspect again, pass some keys and then click on that next button. You know all that again. So these things were clearly discussed in many of our sessions, right, friends? I hope this should be clear for you. So with this we have covered all different methods of switching to a frame, right? So this is the idea, friends. Hope you got a clear idea about this iframe automation, right? Tomorrow we'll discuss with a few more automating strategies. One is with uploading some this one. Uh, usually we do upload, right? How to do this uploads to some this one. All that we discuss in tomorrow's session. So that's all, friends, about this iframe automation. Maybe you can explore many more on that, but this is the a clear foundation for iframes. Understood now? So if you want code, I'll share it now itself, because let me just share the code with you in the chat box. Okay, where is it? One. The third one is this one, iframe automation. Okay, friends, I hope you got a clear idea about this. We'll catch up tomorrow with a few more automating with the Selenium automations. Right. Thank you.